So during my 1 year in India, I was largely away from everything related to Pokemon. Sword and Shield just came out, and I didn't have access to play the games by any means. Cause well, I was focused on other things. But occasionally, I did peep through YouTube or Twitter on my phone, and of course naturally, I became exposed to all the new Gen 8 Pokemon. Now, as someone who knew pretty much nothing about the games, but saw all of these new Pokemon, all I could do by memory was relate these Pokemon to characters and other aspects of the previous games. I saw some of them and went, wow, this Pokemon would have been perfect for this person's team. And then it hit me. Why don't I make a video on all the gym leaders and what their new ace Pokemon would be if they were able to have a Pokemon from any generation? From generations 1 through 8, if they could have any Pokemon be their ace Pokemon, what would they be? Could there be a more fitting ace Pokemon for them in other generations? I want to ask these questions for every gym leader in the games. Now at the time of making this video, a few PokeTubers have already made videos on gym leaders having different Pokemon teams for various different reasons. And while this is a similar video to that, this is going to be different in the sense that I'll only be focusing on one Pokemon, their ace Pokemon. I'll mention which Pokemon used to be or is currently their ace and who I'm replacing them with. And as a rule, gym leaders' old ace Pokemon are free to give to another gym leader as long as it's not one of their old aces, and I can replace them with Pokemon from any generation, including the generation that the gym leader debuted in, if I find that there is in fact a Pokemon that really fits them better from that generation. If you do disagree with my opinions though, please do let me know who you would have chosen as a better ace for any of the trainers, as I'm sure I'm going to be missing some good pairs here and there. Also for right now, I'm planning to make this a whopping 6-parter. The gym leaders split into 2 parts, Elite Four and Champions in another video, and 3 more covering different types of trainers, such as villains, afterwards. This means that certain trainers like Wallace, who is a gym leader in Ruby and Sapphire, will not be in this video cause his ace would probably be the same whether he's a gym leader or champion. However, someone like Blue for example might be in both the champion and gym leader video cause his ace would be different in both versions. It all depends on the character. If everything goes according to plan, this series will take around 3 months to complete. And after that, if you guys wish, we can talk about potential cross-generational themes for all of these gym leaders. But for now, let's take a look at every gym leader and their new ace Pokemon. The Kanto region. Starting off with our boy Brock. Brock's ace is traditionally an Onix, and in the Let's Go rematch, it's Golem. Now, this may be somewhat Kanto, but I think a good new ace for him would be a Lowland Golem. It fits him as it's just a regional variant of one of his aces, and it doesn't have to be a Rock and Ground ace, which is what I was trying to avoid, as many people got the Rock and Ground types confused with Brock back in the day, since they seemed to be pretty synonymous at the time. Plus, it's an Electric type Pokemon, which is pretty unique for a Rock type gym leader. Next we have Misty, whose traditional ace is in fact Starmie. And while I was planning to give her Gyarados for a new ace, that's actually her ace in the Let's Go rematches, so we can't use either of those. I was planning to give her Golduck since that fits with her and the anime as well, but then I thought, why not Golisopod? It's a strong and intimidating Pokemon fitting her tomboy style, and it's a bug and water type Pokemon, which means Misty would have had to somewhat get rid of her fear of bug types from the anime. And even if she didn't, Emergency Exit can be a good nod to her freaking out and running away from bug types. Yeah, I personally really like the idea. Now almost across the board, Lieutenant Surge's ace is Raichu. However, in the first Heart Gold and Soul Silver battle, he does own an Electabuzz that's stronger than his Raichu. And since he's been seen with Electabuzz multiple times across media, Electivire will be pretty cool for him as his new ace. I can definitely see this Pokemon being the one to save him from the war back in the day. Erica is a unique case, where she technically has 4 different ace Pokemon. Throughout the games, she's had Vileplume and Victreebel on her team, both as her highest level Pokemon. Then in the Johto games, she replaces Vileplume for Blossom, which quite frankly is more fitting for her, also at her highest level with Victreebel. And then in the Heart Gold and Soul Silver rematch, she brings out a Tangrowth as her strongest Pokemon. Now, I don't think anyone actually considers Victreebel her ace by any means, but I just wanted to mention it and eliminate it as a new possible ace for this reason. Now, when I think of Erica, I mainly think of elegance, and another grass type that I personally find to be elegant is Lilligant. I personally love this Pokemon, and it really does match Erica's style, and gym theme as well. I was going to give her either Jumpluff or Eldegoss, since they seem to fit as well, but I think Lilligant is the safer and more fitting option. Regarding Koga, I'm gonna save him for when I make a video on the Elite Four, because I feel like he'd have the same ace as a gym leader or an Elite Four member. For now, we can talk about Janine, whose ace has consistently been Venomoth, and while it may not fit the ninja aesthetic, I think Salazzle is a good option for her. It's quick and powerful, and has the power to poison other poison types and steel types, really emphasizing the toxic aspect of the gym. And of course, it's a female-only Pokemon, fitting her in that regard as well. When it comes to Sabrina, Alakazam is her only ace Pokemon. And honestly, why wouldn't it be? It's such a fitting ace for her that no other ace would probably do her justice. But I would say that Gothitelle wouldn't be a bad choice for her at all. They both give very powerful and menacing vibes, and I'm quite surprised that she didn't use one in the Pokemon World Tournament. With Blaine, his ace Pokemon tend to either be Rapidash or Arcanine. But let's be real, we all want to give him a Magmortar because of how he used the Magmar in the Pokemon anime. Not only that, but since Lieutenant Surge is the 3rd gym leader and Blaine is the 7th here, I think their Magmortar and Electivire paired together really well. And now coming to Giovanni as a gym leader. He doesn't use Persian as his ace, as he normally does as a villain, but instead, he uses Rhydon. Now I could just be that guy and give him Rhyperior, but I think there's no better Pokemon for Giovanni than Crocodile. It's the Intimidation Pokemon, a ground and dark type, and it really gives the big boss vibes. Not to mention that it's very powerful as well. Blue is also another case where I feel as though his ace would be different as a gym leader and champion. As a gym leader, his ace is usually a Pidgeot, and there's really not any other Pokemon, besides the one that's already on his team, that I can think about switching out for his ace. I was thinking about Raticate, but beyond the fact that it's a weak ace, it's pretty morbid. But then, I decided to give him a Scizor. Now for those of you who aren't familiar with the Pokemon Adventures manga, you may think that this is a pretty outlandish ace to give him. But in the manga, Blue's first Pokemon was a Scyther, and it later evolved into Scizor. So as a nod to that, I gave him Scizor. And come on, it's a pretty cool ace to have. The Johto region. Fun fact, at least in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, the first gym leader you face and the last gym leader you face have the same ace Pokemon, Pidgeot. Well, it's Pidgeotto when you first fight him, but it's a Pidgeot in the rematch. I don't know if they did this intentionally to show you the progression of you as a trainer and all, or as a callback to the first gym you fought. But still, I thought it was pretty neat. But besides that one little cool thing, it makes no sense that Falconer's ace is a Pidgeot. It should have been Skarmory. No, that probably would have made for a hard first gym. But he has never used a Skarmory in the games, not even in the Pokemon World Tournament. So, yeah, same region, but Skarmory it is. With Bugsy, we're also going to give him another Johtomon, cause for whatever reason, the Johto gym leaders really enjoy using Kanto Pokemon. And with Bugsy, it makes no sense. His ace is a Scyther, which becomes Scizor later on, which Blue has claimed now. But giving him a Scyther to start with doesn't make sense to me when you can get a Heracross in Azalea Town. Why didn't they make Heracross his ace from the start? It's a cool bug type and it's a Johtomon. Missed opportunity if you ask me, but we're giving it to him now. So I know you guys are going to be excited for this one, because I know all of you want to see Whitney's Miltank disappear. So, I decided to be nice and give her a Beware instead. Have fun! Regarding Morty, it was a little hard to pick his ace, since he just had a Gengar as his ace before, due to the lack of ghost types in the game. But bear with me here. I think Oricorio Sensu style should be his ace Pokemon. I'm aware that it's not the strongest Pokemon by any means, and it might seem like a weird choice, but Ecruteak City is all about legends and the culture, and Oricorio, on top of having a ghost type form, fits in this regard. On top of that, it's a bird. In a way, it's also a subtle nod to Ho-Oh. So Chuck again uses Poliwrath, a Kanto Pokemon, as his ace. To be fair, he didn't have very many options, but I think he could have used one of the two fighting types from Johto. But it might be a good thing that he waited, because now we can give him the fighting type that fits him the most. Hariyama. I mean, just look at them. It's like a perfect fit, and I can see them being a really funny duo as well. Jasmine was a tough one for me. Her regular ace is a Steelix, and it would have been fine to give her something like Aggron or Metagross for her, as they're both very tough looking steel type Pokemon, similar to Steelix. But since I'm giving those Pokemon to other trainers in the future, I decided to give her Excadrill. Now Excadrill may not look as tough as these guys, but it definitely is, and could probably take any one of them down, to be honest. And it matches Steelix's typing as well, making it in a way a perfect fit. Pryce's ace is traditionally a Piloswine, or Mamoswine depending on the generation you fight him in. And honestly, I think they just didn't have any better ice type for him at the time. Cause when I looked at Mr. Rime, I went, yes! This is the one! And it served as one of the inspirations for this video. Its canine appearance goes so well with Pryce, and its psychic type is also very fitting cause, well, I'm not gonna spoil it for anyone who hasn't read the Pokemon Adventures manga, but for those of you that did, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And finishing off the Johto leaders, we have Claire, who honestly doesn't have a more fitting ace than her current ace, Kingdra. But just because it's blue and graceful, I'm giving her Altaria. Literally, I can't seem to find any other ace that works better, and we have quite a few Dragon Trainers that we have to go over throughout this whole series. So because of that, I'm sticking to Altaria. The Hoenn region. Roxanne's ace Pokemon is a Nosepass, which evolves into Probopass in future generations and matches. But as an honor student and her still being a kid and all, I think Lycanroc would fit her well. It's a simple yet strong Pokemon, and kinda like a starting Pokemon, which really fits for her as an honor student, if you ask me. We're gonna do something odd with Brawly here. You know his ace is traditionally a Hariyama? Yeah, well, I'm gonna swap it out for Poliwrath, cause he's both a fighter and a surfer, so Poliwrath's water fighting type fits perfectly. And if you haven't noticed the odd thing about this, it's that I essentially just switched out Chuck and Brawly's aces around. And while I really didn't want to do this, I can't be mad cause, in my opinion, it works better than it did before. Watson's one dude where I feel as if any electric type can fit him. His traditional ace is Manectric, probably because it was one of the only 3 fully evolved electric types introduced in Hoenn, the other 2 being Plusle and Minun. But he just runs a generator and made Mauville more advanced, which any electric type can really do. But Heliolisk is the generator Pokemon, so hey, that works with Watson and all he's trying to do with Mauville. Plus it can learn Surf and, you know, like Hoenn and too much water and all, yeah, it works. Flannery is going to be our first instance where we give a gym leader a starter Pokemon as an ace. Similar to Watson, since Maxie has a camera up as an ace, she was kind of forced to have Torkoal as an ace, cause the only other fire types available were Blaziken and Castform Sunform, but Torkoal doesn't really match her hot-headed energetic personality and all, so I thought, why not give her Cinderace? It may not be a perfect fit, but I can definitely see her using one, as she's rather energetic and quick with her words and all. Cinderace is a new Pokemon, and she's a new gym leader, and as she messes up a lot, it could be a nod to a move like High Jump Kick, which has the chance to really mess up. Initially, I didn't want to give any gym leaders starter Pokemon, but with the fire types, we don't have many options. And as we go on with the list, I think it makes sense to give some of these gym leaders starters for their ace. Norman is the definition of normal, and Slacking is a good fit for him. Since he's the most normal of normal, I thought, what's the most normal Pokemon out there? And of course, one of the first Pokemon that comes to mind is Snorlax. It works as a good substitute for slacking, but honestly, Kangaskhan probably works better. Its Mega was known for taking lives across the board, but more so than that, it's the parent Pokemon. And as one of, if not, the only known dad to the player character in all of the Pokemon games, I think it'd be rather poetic for us to go up to face him and his ace, the parent Pokemon. Altaria and Winona are another instance of what I consider to be a perfect pair. They're both very graceful and look like they're just free from the world, light and could take off at any moment. The only other flying type Pokemon that matches this description for me would be Togekiss, which is great cause it's a really strong Pokemon, and a fairy type which you don't really see many of the old gym leaders use cause of the type's late inclusion in the games. You may think that Solrock and Lunatone are impossible to replace for Tate and Liza. However, there is a psychic type that works perfectly for the twin kids, and that's the Meowstic duo. Both are pure psychic type Pokemon, they have a male and female form matching the twins, and I think the two of them are even oriented for double battles. Olympia even used them against Ash in a double battle in the anime, which probably means that it can't get any better than this. Indeedee is obviously also an option, but aesthetically, I think this duo works better. With one, you may be a bit confused until I talk about Wallace, which will be some time from now. But that guy took Claire's ace and went with Kingdra. Now again, I don't want to give gym leader starters, but I'm telling you right now, at least 4 water type trainers are going to have starters for their ace, despite it having the most number of Pokemon. And for one, it's Empoleon. This is largely due to who I chose for Wallace as an ace, but also, I just think Empoleon fits one's appearance more as well, and a water steel type ace would be somewhat difficult to go up against. Again, I can't go into full details just yet, but I hope you kinda see why I chose Empoleon. The Sinnoh region. Rourke's ace is also one that I chose with another character in mind. His ace is sometimes Tyranitar, but normally it's Rampardos, one of the fossils from the Sinnoh region, and he pairs this up with the other fossil with his father Byron. Since they're Rock and Steel type leaders respectively, I want them to both have Rock and Steel type Pokemon as their ace, with Rourke taking Aggron. Now why Aggron not Probopass, when Probopass is probably more fitting for him? I'll get into that when we speak about Byron, which is much closer than us talking about Wallace. With Gardenia, as she's the second gym leader of the Sinnoh region, we're gonna give her similar treatment to Misty, the second gym leader of the Kanto region. Gardenia's ace across the board is Roserade, which is a good choice. I was gonna give her something similar to Roserade like Serena, but then I came across this piece of dialogue from her where she claims she's scared of ghost type Pokemon, and she didn't know what she would do if there were a ghost and grass type Pokemon. So, I hope you have fun with Trevenant, Gardenia. Maylene is one of the many trainers who use Lucario as her ace Pokemon, but Mienshao always seemed to fit her more in my opinion. It just looks like it's a lot quicker and fits Maylene's fighting style a lot more, and fits her aesthetic as well if you ask me. Now here's one where we're going solely for aesthetics. Crasher Wake's ace is Floatzel. Again, probably because they didn't have very many options in terms of new Pokemon, but he does use Ludicolo as his ace for the Platinum rematch. However, I think Swampert fits him and his masked outfit perfectly. Don't believe me? Well, how about after taking a look at his beta sprite? Yep, it looks like he had some kind of Swampert outfit going on for sure. Another gym leader we're going to be looking at for clothing only is Fantina. Her aces are either Gengar or Mismagius, depending on the game, but ultimately due to the Platinum rematch, I think it's Gengar. So essentially, the same 2 Pokemon as Morty, despite having a lot more options. I get how Mismagius at least was her ace, it's technically a new ghost type from the Sinnoh region, but it makes no sense why Drifblim wasn't her ace from the beginning. A new Sinnoh Pokemon, it's purple, it's a ghost, and I don't know if you can tell, but Fantina's dress itself is based off of a Drifblim. At least that pluses, yeah, This was definitely injustice, if I ever say so. Like I mentioned earlier, Byron has Bastiodon, the other fossil from Sinnoh, as his ace. However, in the Platinum rematches, he does in fact use Aggron as his ace. This is the reason why I gave Rourke Aggron, cause I didn't want repeats, and since I want the father and son to have the same dual typing for a Pokemon, despite it fitting his son more, I'm giving him Probopass. But my headcanon for this would be that Rourke uses a primary Steel-type Pokemon as a nod to his father, and Byron uses a primary Rock-type Pokemon as a nod to his son. Maybe they even traded their Pokemon and are using each other's Pokemon as aces. Oddly enough, Candace has 3 ace Pokemon if you count the Platinum rematches, which I think is the first time we're seeing this in Sinnoh. Her aces are Abomasnow, Frostlass, and Glaceon, with Glaceon probably being her most fitting ace if you ask me. But for someone as cheery, jumpy, and happy as Candace, I gotta go with Galarian Darmanitan. It fits her personality so well, and on top of that, just look at Galarian Darmanitan's head. It just represents the pain and torture that Candace's gym puzzle was. We really don't have that many options for Volkner, and though Electivire kinda became his main ace, Luxray as his ace Pokemon was almost the perfect fit for him. Most other electric types are naturally happy all the time, and, well, yeah, you can see that that's not the case for him. I can easily give him something like Manectric or Zebstrika, those being the aces of other electric type gym leaders, which would fit. But I think Toxtricity low-key form fits the best. After all, if a Toxel is a timid, quiet, serious, or lonely nature, it becomes low-key Toxtricity. And Volkner himself seems like a pretty low-key guy. I was trying to avoid giving him Toxtricity since I already have it for another gym leader that fits the best. But since it has 2 different forms, it works for Volkner as well, if you ask me. So who else has Toxtricity as their ace? Well, you're gonna have to find out later this month on part 2 of this topic. Or, you can just take a look at the new thumbnail. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Again, be sure to let me know what you thought of this video topic, as well as the aces that I picked out for the respective gym leaders. And let me know if you have better suggestions for some of them. Be sure to hit a bunch of like button or dislike button. Let me know how you feel. Comment down below your thoughts and opinions. Share the video with a friend. And subscribe to the little bell icon if you want to stay up to date with all my content. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. And I will see you over on the next video, alright? Later.